So here we have Smartboard, and unfortunately, as I mentioned, this is Smartboard 11. So this top panel here is going to be a little bit different. So if I can have you log into your onto the netbox, and this way you can also start up your smart notebook.
Is it okay for us to share? Because mine isn't working properly.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, my mouse is not there. It works and it doesn't work.
So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Start, and you're going to go to All Programs, and you're going to go to Integrated Tools. And this is if you're going to have one of the school computers. And in there, you should have Smart Technologies in folder. Go to Smart Technologies, and where it says Smart Notebook. So open up Smart Notebook. Of course, if you're installing it on your own personal computer, it'll be somewhere else, but it'll still be along the same location for it. So you'll be looking for Smart Technologies. And what you're going to notice is the Smartboard icon is going to appear at the bottom. So it's pretty much a blue square, round circle, almost looks like a disc inside. Takes a little while to open, so you'll notice that it's so Smart Notebook. You'll notice it's the 10.8 version that's trying to open. If it does open, when it does open, it gives you the new window to welcome. Click on New Notebook File. New notebook file, because you're going to create a new notebook file. Yeah, just click. Yeah. So, if I can have you expand it so it takes up your full screen. So you'll notice there that top toolbar looks different than mine. Right? How mine has 2 rows as opposed to yours just the 1 row. So that's one of the minor differences between Smartboard 10.8 and 11. But again, the tools are pretty much just about the same. So I'm going to just go through the tools that are here. So if you look here on the side, this is pretty much, you've got all the different slides. Right? So I'm just clicking on the different slides that are there. Very similar to PowerPoint. It works on a slides basis. The only thing is it doesn't have the animations like PowerPoint does. But one thing you'll notice is that one of the things that I like about this over PowerPoint is really, the only thing that PowerPoint really has on this is the ability to kind of animate text. But who cares? That can become a little bit, a little too much. I remember my first cover of PowerPoints and discovering all the different animations. Wow, look at this animation. So I literally have every line coming up with different, different animations. And students, if you ever assign them to do a presentation using PowerPoint, they're going to do the same thing. And eventually, when you start watching it over time, you start to realize, what was I thinking putting all of this? Because it lost. Because I found students were more focused on, wow, look at the cool new animation that you're putting in to bring the next point across, when that's not really the whole premise of PowerPoint. Right? So it works on a slide system. Up at the top here, we've got the arrows that go forward and backwards, right, to the different slides that you're using. Towards the bottom of the page here, we've got the extend page, and this is great for really long problems. Right? You can actually, when you click on it, it extends the page, so it keeps going longer and longer and longer, and you can continue writing on it. Yeah?
It's still giving me licensing agreements pages.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it just, it only allows me to acquire the license, purchase the license, or enter the license. So I click OK, it just closes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can. Okay, this one's. Let's try this one. I don't think it got it working.
Okay.
We're gonna have to register that one then.
Without me all the information, just the monthly.
Yeah, eventually it allowed me. I was moving it around and it was working. So hopefully it'll remain that way.
So where do we get that passcode that we have as a board?
It's underneath your Smartboard. So if you find a Smartboard at your school, just take down the number of the Smartboard underneath.
Oh, it's literally underneath.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we've got the right and left, and that allows you to orient to kind of shuffle between the different slides. Again, if I want, I can just kind of scroll to any one of the slides that I have here, right, and select which slide I want, or I can just use the arrows to move to my different slides. I've got a couple of arrows here that curve. So these are undos and redos, let's say. So if I was to write something, I can undo it by clicking on the undo as opposed to erasing it. So I have that option. Or if I want, now the redo arrow pops up, meaning, oh no, actually I want to keep that icon there. So, but I don't want it. Get rid of it. You have, and I don't think there's the red X one, but there's the green plus. What it does is it allows you to create a new slide. So if you want to insert a slide, right? So let's say I'm at this one. I want to insert a blank slide immediately after it. I just click on the page with the green plus sign, and it inserts a new slide. So I can continue, and I can always build upon lessons. And that's one of the joys about creating using technology as opposed to creating the way I was telling you about my personal experiences, right? Once I had an overhead, if there was a typo on it, I had to redo the whole thing. And again, would you want to redo it, especially knowing how expensive those acetates, the photocopyable acetates can be? So with computers, especially with curriculum changing, right, you can make just modifications. Right? A new textbook kind of comes in, you don't really have to redo everything. You can just kind of build upon with your old stuff. So you've got your save. So the disk to save your Smartboard notebook lesson. You've got the folder here that would ask you to open a folder. Let's say that where you might have a Smartboard lesson. Again, you will be looking for Smartboard lessons for you to open within Smartboard. So a couple of tools that are a little bit different on your machine than this machine here will be the following. Yours will have these three icons here: the full screen, transparent background, and the dual page display. You'll have them kind of side by side from one another. But here they've decided to package them all as that one button. So this is Smart 11. Yours is Smart 10.8. So you'll have all of them there. That's one. So what does that mean? What do they mean? So let's go through them. Full screen is kind of like presentation mode in PowerPoint, where you're eliminating all and just keeping the only real estate up there is what your presentation is. It does bring up this bar here because this allows you to navigate between your different slides. So how do you go forward? Right? You click on that, you go back. And again, depending on your class, right, by not having all that other stuff, they're not distracted visually. So other things here, I've got the escape, right? So how do I get rid of the full screen when I'm in full screen? If I hit that icon there, I can get rid of it. Or if I hit the escape button on my computer screen, I can get out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit click on that button and it gets out. There's that arrow that I had, and it can always erase it. The transparent background, what this does, it's kind of like putting a transparency over whatever is behind this computer screen. So what happens is, by clicking on transparent background, it will remove Smartboard, the smart notebook, from your screen. So I'm going to click on it, watch what happens. It's now showing what's behind it. So if I have a web page behind, if you have, odds are probably you have nothing behind there except for your computer screen. Right? So if I did that, let me just kind of minimize that. This is right now. So Smartboard is still running in the background. How do I know? Right down here, look at this. Smart. So I've got my notebook, page 3 of 64. Right? So here, what I actually have the ability to do is I might be able to have students kind of, navigate them through something that might be on your desktop. Say, okay, you know what? If you're looking for, you're trying to teach a basics to computers. If you're looking to get rid of things, well, drag any icon into the recycling bin to get rid of it. And once you're in there, so you're kind of wanting to annotate on something other than Smartboard with that.
So is that what you use to annotate over your PowerPoint presentations?
Yeah, exactly. You can use that. Another thing that I would do is if there was something on a web page, right? So let's say we were trying to navigate the intranet before. We're trying to navigate the intranet before, and I might say, okay, so make sure that you click within departments. Once you've clicked on departments, you're going to look for curriculum and accountability, academic ICT, and then you're going to click on password. So I'm going to be annotating on an actual web page. Let's say if I'm trying to guide my students through how to go about finding resources online. And one of the great tools, and I have, if you want, I will send you a PowerPoint. One of the things that students really need to learn, and don't be fooled by their tech savvy, right? Their ability to create to go on Facebook and upload the family photos and create an album online, or be able to go on Twitter, or be able to do all this stuff, doesn't mean that they're actually tech savvy and that they're web savvy. Right? I learned that this past summer when I was doing a tech class, and I was kind of showing students how to navigate the web and how to utilize some free online tools in the classroom. Things like Google Docs allow them to actually be able to type out any of their lessons without ever having to worry about saving onto a USB stick, without ever having to buy Microsoft Office. How do you utilize the web if you have the internet, and utilize the free stuff that's there, and use tools that are considered cloud-based that allow you to go from one computer to the next, right? I wanted them to be able to work on their home computers, their home personal computers, and come to the school computers and continue working seamlessly without ever having to email themselves or bring a USB stick, and still be able to continue working on, their stuff for class, and still be able to print it at school when they started typing it at home. Oh, we'll talk. The tools that I can show you is just, I really get excited about that kind of stuff. But if you ever do get a chance, and probably maybe during lunch, I can go through. I suggest you looking up Google Docs, Google Documents, and especially if you've got a Gmail account, this is great because Google Docs actually gives you free online Office suite, right? It's got its own version of Word, right, which is its own Google Words presentation. So create a PowerPoint using Google's free software. You don't have to install anything. You just go to google.com, and all this stuff's there. Google wants to take over the internet, and they want to give you all the free stuff. You just got to give up some of your privacy settings to them in order for that. But again, using the transparency to kind of come back. Using the transparency, I can annotate on the web. I can annotate on a worksheet. So I'm going to have a Word document up, right? A worksheet. Right? So instead of, maybe if you're taking up a worksheet, maybe using, the transparencies, you can bring the worksheet up, just open up the Word file that you've got and annotate on the Word file. So it's all there. And again, to get out of transparency mode, right? There's the icon right there, or, right? And so once I click on that, I'm back, and notice how all the annotations are there, but now they don't almost make sense being there, right? Because they were related to the web page that you were on. Another way, so as you notice here, as I'm erasing, the eraser icon gets highlighted. So I don't have to click on it. The minute I pick up the eraser, please don't use the erasers for the blackboard. I do not use the dry erase markers on these boards either. No, I have to say that because, yeah, you'd be surprised. I've come across, yeah, a lot of chalk dust on some of these brushes. We don't really need a pen, these pens in here, but again, you don't want to lose them. But again, let's say I'm going to take a highlighter, the minute I put something in there, so if you ever do end up losing a pen, right? But again, don't use this now as your pen, right? I just put in a highlighter, Julia, so if you're watching this, I put in a highlighter in the place of the pen.
Excuse the interruption. It is at this time that the grade 6
So you
and
pick up the
7
pen,
class
or
go
whatever
back
you
to
have
their
there,
homeroom for
and
their
start writing
first
what's written here.
instruction. Ms. Pacheco's class, please return to your
But again,
for your
I could just make I could use another, right? Put in the other color if I wanted the red. Just let's say, but I would use the red, but I want black. So I just make sure that the black panel is free, and I can still write. So it doesn't really recognize the color of this. It recognizes what pen, what part of the ledge is actually like. So. Again, I'm using the eraser to erase. Another tool that you can use, or another feature, you've got a whole bunch of stuff written out. So another way to erase, instead of erasing all this, is drawing a circle with the eraser and hitting in the middle.
I could use a pen.
Yeah. Or you can use, yeah. Right, another thing, actually, I sometimes when I bring students up in this, if you ever wanted to play a trick on your student, is as they're trying to write, just kind of have your finger on the board. As they're trying to write, you're wondering why it's not working. Sometimes if I want to have some fun with my students, because remember these boards can only be written or can be touched only at one point of contact. Another feature here, and let me get to, let me get further down. One of these other ones. So another feature that I do want to show is this dual page display. So what it does is, and mind you, you can do more than one touch again, right? No more than one point of contact on these boards cannot be done, but I could have two Smartboard pages up there. Right, so I might have the page of text that I want my students reading from, and maybe the worksheet that I want them completing. Right, so we're taking it up, maybe getting a student to read one side of the board, and then we're answering the questions that are on the other side of the board, so that we're able to see two pages at the same time. So that's one of the features. Let's get back to blank screens. And to get rid of it, right, when you're on dual page, just go back and look, and the dual page icon is going to look like a single page icon, right, because it's on dual page right now. So bring it back to single page, just find the single page icon there's a clipboard here with a little picture. All that is anytime you ever copy and paste something, right, you're putting it technically into the virtual clipboard. Don't worry about that really too much, if you're not doing any copying and pasting of text. Next feature that I'm going to show you, very, very vital, and the reason why it's vital is it's going to help save you time from putting together some of your Smartboard lessons. Right? And it's the document camera. And so if we click on the camera tool, this new toolbar pops up. And what it does is it has a couple of things here. There are three features, three camera tools. The first camera tool allows you to create a box around what you want to take a photograph of. So it takes a photograph of something that's on the screen. I'll show you how we're going to use it. The next one, the next icon here, the second one, is going to allow you to take a picture of a specific window. Right? So right now I've got the Smartboard window as on my screen. If I want to use maybe something from the web, right? And I shrink this, let's say, right? So here's the web, right? So I want to take just a picture of this, but I don't want to take everything else that's in the background, right? So let me just shrink this a little bit. So let's say I shrunk this and I say I want to take a photograph of just this window. But notice how some of my Smartboard stuff is there in the way. And I don't want to take a picture of it. If I use that second icon, second camera icon, I can just click on this window and it will take a snapshot of just this window, eliminating anything else that's around it. The third icon is going to take an entire picture of the entire screen, including this bar here at the bottom that shows all my open, right? And again, it all depends on what you want to show. And the fourth camera tool allows you to create a random sized photograph. So if you're taking the photo of a triangle, of a star, you can literally draw out the star and it'll just take a snapshot of just that shape. So if I was to use that, right, let's say I'm going to use that shape, I'm able to create a random cutout. You'll notice it'll make that sound. And now it's just imported. Look at that cutout there. Just kind of randomly, I've taken a snapshot. I don't really care too much about that one. Let me just get rid of it. So, and now I'm going to show you where this is going to be really, really useful. You've come across something online. Web page, it's got a question already there. Maybe you might have access to your math. I mean, I'm going to take math for example. You've come across your math textbook, whatever that you're using, and you've got the textbook online, right? And you've got the question there. So retyping the question with any of the images. And here, let me. This is what I'm going to do. So I've come across someplace where I found a question. So I'm looking at this question here on the side instead of retyping that question. Right? And then instead of finding this image to bring it in there, I click on the that icon. Notice the cursor now becomes a little like a plus symbol. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a corner from the image that I want to keep. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to drag over it, and it's going to create this window. And when I let go, so I click on it once, when I let go, it's going to take a snapshot of that piece of the web. So I take it, I let go of it, take a snapshot, it's going to save the notes. You know where it's going to save them to. Right in Notebook. Mind you, it had all that because I held it a little bit too long. But notice here now, I just created. So here's one worksheet or one question that now I've not spent any time really copying. I found the resource online. So now I'm going to have I want to have a second question that I want to work on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new slide. Right, that question that we just did is there. New slide. I'm going to go back to that web page. And I'm going to take, let's say, the next question. So I'm going to click on that again, and drag, create my window, snapshot, go back, and there is, and it should come out nicer. It's because my computer's acting up a little bit. But again, here's the second question. And again, look at that. I just now put together two questions that we're going to do in class in no time. Yes.
So you extendedly use this as your chalkboard where everyone else would look at that and answer their question in their notebooks, or would
yeah.
You
I might. Yeah, I could have it out. I could let's say print that out if I wanted to, or just like I might already have my worksheets, let's say, but I'm just looking for new questions online.
Right.
So that I might want my students to kind of come up. And again, here's now that perfect recording opportunity. Now where I just bring the student up, here, answer this question, we're going to put this on the recording. So you're going to, now a student's going to come up here, start reading, you tell them, okay, read the question and start going through, your work. And again, you're looking at the graph going, that's kind of too small for my students. So if you click on your object, and this little circle here, make it a little bit bigger. And again, look at that, I just created 2 slides in no time. And I found all my resources online. I didn't have to worry about typing that out. And typically I would do that. I wouldn't, because typically if you're ever trying to highlight, right, if you're ever trying to highlight text, you can always just kind of bring your cursor and just highlight that way. But if but I usually tell teachers this tool is great primarily if you're trying to bring in an image as well with the text. Because how do you incorporate text and imagery when you're doing a copy and paste? This is a great way to copy, let's say, text from a paragraph. You can do that if you want, and then copy and paste that way. But if there's an image there as well, why not bring that image in there? And again, notice again using that camera tool. The camera tool disappears the minute I click on whatever the camera I want. So I want to take a photo of this. And again, now my 3rd slide. And again, there you go. 3 questions for class in no time. I was able to put those together. Right? The toughest part is going to be really finding an online resource really that you're happy with. But again, I just kind of Google searched this. I came across this edhelper.com literally this morning. So again, look at what resources you use. I don't know. Do you have PDF versions like discs that maybe your textbooks have come with? Any of your resources come with discs that have the Nelson? No.
He's got some leaps and bounds.
Leaps and bounds. So PDF. Okay. Yeah.
I haven't opened it yet.
So if when you do open that, bring the PDF up and copy and paste from that using that tool and bring them into your Smart. And again, your Smart Notebook lesson is already being created in no time. You're just kind of grabbing the questions. And one of the things I avoid is using the textbook when because a lot of times if you're going through a sample problem in class, students will kind of follow along with the sample problem already there. So by copying and pasting, let's say, just the question alone with any of the images that are on the text. So you bring it up here. Okay, I want you not looking at your textbook. This is where we're at. Our eyes are here. So let's
Can you
start working
scan
on
a
that.
page and do the same thing?
Yeah. Scan the page and then bring the image. But when you're scanning the page, you might as well you can always just isolate the images that you want that way, let's say. So when you're scanning, so you can select what part you want to scan, and it'll just scan just that selection, let's say. But yeah, you can scan the entire page and then, especially if there's 3 questions on it, instead of doing scanning 3 times to get the 3 different parts that you want, you scan it once, pull up that image, and then do the same thing, use the camera tool.
So it doesn't just have to be from the web.
No, it could be, it could be anything. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I could have a worksheet that was already, opened up, let's say, a PDF. Let me get one out. Sorry, and please excuse what the content will be. Will be my. Oh, this is something called Dropbox right now. So this is kind of just a side tool. It's called Dropbox right now. I'm accessing my home computer right now, and so all the folders that I've got in my Dropbox, I can access them on any device. I can access them off my iPhone if I want, my iPad. I could come over to your netbooks and log in and actually get to these files.
So that's a Google?
It's separate from Google.
Oh.
So it's a free online resource. It only gives you up to 2 gigabytes for free of storage. Right? And what's great is, especially if you've got an iPad or an Android, a lot of the apps kind of run cohesively with Dropbox. So if you're ever, let's say if you're taking photos on your camera, hook up your camera your phone to your computer, it can give you the opportunity to upload straight to your Dropbox, and you have access to that on any computer with internet.
Where do we?
You just go to Dropbox.com.
Alright.
Apple actually tried buying out Dropbox. They said no, and that's why Apple came up with iCloud, which isn't really as good as Dropbox. And if you recommend people and they sign up to Dropbox right through your account, your storage can increase. Yeah, it gets bigger.
It's like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great because I got my students, I'd send them the link, and the minute my students were signing up, well, their accounts got a little bit bigger, so did mine. So now I'm close to, I think, 10 gigabytes for free online storage. But there are plenty of other places for it. But I'm going to show you one of my worksheets here. Sorry again, like I said, it's the content. Chemistry. I'm going to find a worksheet. So I'm opening up now a PDF worksheet. Now if I want, I can actually use the transparency feature on Smartboard to annotate on this thing. Or if I want, make this a little bit smaller. So if I want, I can use the camera tool and take a photo of this worksheet. And now in Smartboard, here it is. All right, so one of the things that we do with this assignment is we find out, so for every 2 nitrogen oxides and 1 oxygen molecule, let's say, creates those 2. So what we would want to do is kind of get 2 of these. For every 2 of those, 1 of these, let's say, get used up. And so we keep doing that until we find out whatever's left over. So that's the little mini lesson. Don't worry about remembering that. The whole point really is how I brought in a worksheet into a worksheet that I've created using the camera tool, and I put it right into my Smart Notebook lesson. And again, it took me no time.
So in this example, they would start to cancel it out, and then they would annotate right on top of that.
Yeah.
To evaluate based on what
exactly. Yeah. And this is typically a worksheet that, for them, they have to print it out themselves. Let's say, because this is how I kind of run my grade 11 course. Right? They print out the stuff on their own. But again, I'd be giving these worksheets to them, to my students, typically in a classroom. And so from here, I would get a student to come up and explain it. Right? So why listen to me explain it? No, now you're explaining it, and have the students. And this is their way to kind of practice their ability to explain the material. Right? Allow the students to pretty much be using this board. Have them go up and take up the questions as opposed to. It's typically us that we're up in front of the board, we're in front of the Smartboard, we're doing the answers. Get them to do it. Give them the time to work on their own, circulate around the room, but then get them to come up and explain it. Because I never have students just come up and write on the board and just, okay, put up your the answer. Even if they're doing the steps, I want them explaining it to the class. Because I'll have 5 questions up on the board that we're going to put up, and it's only 1 student at a time because I want them explaining their process. Right? Because I want them to be able to get the communication out. Because a lot of times they're robots. Right? They're going through the steps because it's memorized. I've got to do this step, that step, the other step first. And this I got to do second, I got to do this third. But I want them explaining it without them saying, I've got to do this step first. And then I'll be like, well, why are we doing this step first? What is it about this step that you need to understand? So empower your students to teach the class, right? Because you're allowing them to learn the communication that's required. And of course, yeah, you're going to facilitate that. You're going to stop them when they're explaining something incorrectly, right? When they're saying, maybe they're using the terminology, we'll say, oh wait, we're not using that. We don't use the term cancel. Let's say if we're what is the proper way, and then allow that kind of conversation to happen with your other students, right? That student's already started. So they've kind of, they've said something that they should, in a way they weren't supposed to express, because that's not the way we've kind of explained it to them. Now, let's pass it off to someone else to kind of continue, but still leave that student up there to continue their steps. Because I want that student to kind of listen in on what the others have to say, and it also gives the opportunity for another student to kind of expand on the communication skills. So get your students and using the recorder. Yeah, record the session. So that student who's absent wants to see, instead of just giving them, the answers. Here's the worksheet completed. Here's the DVD of how we got to that answer. And they're hearing. Because what good is it? Like, one thing that frustrates me when I get students to correct their work is they're copying the correct answer. Like, no, you're going step by step to get that right answer. Find out what you did wrong. Then look at the answer and see, did you get that correct answer? And if you didn't, why? Where along the way did you go wrong? Because what good is it? Right? It's kind of like in a math book. Going to the back of the book isn't going to help you if you've not started to work on the question. So don't give them. Because one of the things, what's great about Smart Notebook is I can now save this file that's already annotated and open it up tomorrow and continue taking up the work. They can see it. We can kind of review what we did. Right? But again, what good is it for a student who's absent and seeing the answers? But if you recorded that, they can hear the steps that went on. So that's the camera tool. I always try to keep it running if I'm ever getting stuff off the web. But I'll just close that for now. I don't really worry about it. Next tool I do want to show you is one of the next symbols. I'm trying to find right here. So I've got a bunch of text here that I want let's say my students to read. But now there's way too much text, especially with me when I struggle trying to read. Mild case of dyslexia, so I kind of worse would start to jumble. So if you're ever getting a student to read out loud, there's a little thing. It's a little icon right here, right there. It's a shade tool. So what it does when I click on it, and you can use this pretty much with your Smart Notebook lesson. That shade tool allows me to just show what I want shown at a time. So here now, let's read this together, or let's have so-and-so come and read it. So now you're only showing off the text that you want. So you're allowing to show, and so here's a tool where if you've got a paragraph and you want the students just to read the first paragraph. Oh, here's something about Dropbox right now. I was able to share my folder, so my colleagues right now that are working on our next presentation, they just saved it in my Dropbox. So you can share a folder and work collaboratively with someone else. So anytime they save something in that shared folder, so the work that they're working on, I'll be able to see it. Got it here now. I don't know what's going on there. So that's what's great. So anyways, let's get back on track. So here I might have just a paragraph up. And we might just want to address that. So we don't want students reading off extra. Again, we just want them to focus on that. Maybe I might have a paragraph and show them, maybe poor writing skills, right? Maybe, with a lot of grammar errors, spelling mistakes, and have a student kind of come up and I go, I want you to find 2 mistakes. Go up there and correct them. Next student, some more mistakes. Fix that out. Right? So we have the ability to show that. Again, also maybe math problems. I might have 5 problems up there and show them off one at a time. Okay, so and so, you're going to do this question. They answer it. Next person, do the next one. Next question. But I also have the ability to move this shade over this way. And it all depends where you have the text that you're trying to show off. Okay, that way, and then I can still. So maybe I might have one side, let's say, a bunch of terms, and on this side I might have, let's say, the definitions. The terms that I want them to address. How do I get rid of it? All right, so this, I would use this instead of PowerPoint animated points, or if I'm showing the, the cell theory and the points of the cell theory, and I like have all the points out there and just kind of reveal them one at a time and discuss them one at a time. So instead of having text animate, I'm controlling when the next text gets shown with the shade, and just hit the X here. Do it. You get rid of it. Next tool that I do want to show is the table tool. I can create tables, and actually, one of the things I like using the tables is, and actually, let me show it with one of. Actually, no, I won't. Just do it live. So I'm going to create a table here. So what I could do within this table, I could type in, let's say I can have my text, whatever I wanted. Let's say I'm gonna put one of my lessons here, complete combustion. This was what I was going to show you, combustion, and I was teaching them about complete and incomplete combustion. Right. And so within here, I'll have, let's say, my definition. Or anything, right, whatever the definition is, let's say. But what I also have the ability to do is using, and I can always kind of just make adjustments to my table however I want. I don't need to have all of this, but again, you will utilize it. But using the right click. So we're going to use the right click here, but if you're going to use the right click on your mouse, I'm going to use it here. So if I click on the right click, so I'm featuring the right click button. So if I click on that, one of the features here is added cell shade. So it allows me to create just a shade for any one of my cells that I want to create them. So I'm going to create and add a shade there. So I might have the term up here, get my students to define it, and then let's reveal the answer by clicking on it. So I'm going to give you time that I should play with that, because I do find that being a really valuable tool when it comes to creating. So another thing, what you could do with this is the following. I'm going to create a really big one. Right? So I'm going to create a really big one. And within here, maybe I might actually have a bunch of random questions, right? And this here, maybe a couple, just random questions like, I don't know, let's say 3 times 5, 9 times 7. Let's say 15 divided by 3. And what I do is, using the right click, I create a shade for each one of them. So I'm right clicking and creating a shade for them. And then I get a student to come up. So we turn this into a game. Bring the student up. Okay, I want you to pick any one of these random boxes, and you're going to answer the question that's behind it. So it's like, I'm going to do this one. Okay, there you go, 9 times 7. Next student comes up, they pick another one. Right, so you're hiding all the questions behind there. Right, there are other ways to kind of do, to kind of play something like this, but this is just one way of, so you can do your question and answers. This is one way to do it, if you want to do it. Right, keeping the variety going as to how it's done. I'm going to show you guys another tool that allows you to do this, and is a little cooler, let's say cooler setup than this one a little bit later. Right, but this is just one feature. Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. So go over it. So you want to add a shade on that, so you just bring your cursor over it. So another thing is you could always create a calendar and make some random activity that you have to do it as a class. Let's say, for the the month of December, Christmas month. And go, okay, today, one of the things I was always trying to push, promote just kind of health and fitness in my class, even though it was like a math or a science class. And what you could do, and what I was always thinking I was going to do using this is have the activity go, okay, we're going to start the class with 20 jumping jacks, right? Because this is a great way to kind of get those students who are really active just a little more focused. Get them, to get out that activity out, right? Get that physical fitness out. Let's say, okay, everyone, we're all doing 20. Find some place in the room, 20 jumping jacks, and that one kid who's just all over the place gets that energy out and now can stay focused. But everyone's kind of doing it, and they're doing something active. And you can say, okay, let's see what today's activity is going to be at the start of class. It's how just pick something random, right, and reveal it that way. Again, just how you choose to use it is, let's say, up to you. Other tools that I'm going to show you, and this is going to be pretty much one of my other gifts to you, is this one here. It's the Smart Exchange. The little X looks like a little head at the top of the X, right? So if you click on that, and you will get here. It will open up the following web page. This is a web page that it will open up for you. It's the Smart Exchange. My advice, and I'm going to give you time to do this now, is actually enroll. The reason for that is, by enrolling on this, you have access to a bunch of free, already made Smartboard lessons. Right? So why reinvent the wheel if someone's already invented it for you? And this is one thing I always advise teachers to get as many resources up front, so they're not lesson planning, right, with the Smartboard, right? Just get stuff and find out what's available here, right, that people have already created for you, right? And then once you start to see what the tools are that they use to create them, then you have the time to kind of, because the thing is, you're trying to find ways to engage your class already, right? So instead of sitting there and recreating it and trying, why not see if we could find something, right? You want to use a Smartboard, right? You've got to create these Smartboard lessons. Why not go on there and find stuff that someone has already created, make modifications to it?
Why are those different?
Mine are different because I'm logged in. I'm logged in, and I'm actually right now. Actually, I should change. I'm in the U.S. I want Canada, and there we go. Now, the only way you can download these is if you're enrolled. So my advice to you is, actually, yeah, if you want, you can might as well enroll here too. Separate computers.
What would you use if you're using that email address for school?
You can use anyone you wish. It's completely safe. It will be asking you for it's going to ask you questions about the level you're teaching and stuff like that. Reason for that is they want to know who's using these resources. They want to know, are you a teacher? Are you an EA? Are you an administrator? That's what they really want to know. They want to know who's using it. Is it grade 3 teachers going, or is it grade 7 teachers, or is it high school teachers that are going? So that's what they want to do, because that's where they kind of want to try to invest their resources in.
Join right now?
So so join right now and start checking out some stuff that, for lessons that you're doing right now. That especially if you have access to a Smartboard and you're thinking, okay, you know what, in the next couple of weeks, my advice to you is, if you can, use the Smartboard sometime this week. If you've never used it and you're getting this session, because after Wednesday, a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you, you'll have forgotten. I always say 36 hours after you've kind of gone through an in-service, if you don't use it, you'll lose it.
Just use the local number.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, I didn't realize it was yours. I'm with this second curious that it's giving me licensing issues for Smartboard. Maybe or maybe not. It might also be because
Thank you.
So I'm opening up this Jeopardy template I found someone had created. And again, eventually, once you master it, you could always go and provide lessons, right? You can come up with something, you go, I really love the lesson I created, and I want to share it. Here is one of the ones that they've created. Okay, so it's a Jeopardy board. Yeah.
quick question. The profile that I'm doing, because right now I'm on an LTL, not permanently placed in a specific grade, per se. But would you recommend that I just put all the grades down that I'm able to teach?
Sure. It's not going to make any difference. So what you'll be so whatever you answer. So let's say you've got a grade 3 classroom, grade 7 classroom. Even though you check off, it doesn't mean that those are the only ones you're limited to. You're able to view every single lesson that's there. They just want to know, who's logging into our website. They want to know what grade levels that they are people teaching when they're going in. They want to know, is it a student coming in that's looking to create a lesson for class, for a presentation, or is it high school, elementary administrator, educational assistant. There's probably, you were a second password. Okay. Yeah, and just to let you all know, the password that you create, even if you're using your board email, is not going to change your board email password. That's just your password to get in. I have to mention it because people panic. They're like, what's going to happen? Is it going to change my password? No, it's not going to change. It's just the password to log into the Smart Exchange. So I want to show you here this, it's the 14 days to Christmas. Someone's created this attendance record sheet where we kind of made it fun for Christmas. Again, all you have to do is go in and retype the names for it to fit your class. That's it. We're going to let it load the page. And what students will do, let's say here on this page, right? Question, it says help decorate for Christmas by placing your wreath on the fence. So let's say here Josh comes up. Josh puts his name on the fence. And then, let's say Isabel comes up, she puts her result. And it's a great way to kind of track attendance, again, depending on your grade level. You know, the younger kids are going to love that. Right? And again, you can save that file. And every day it's something different. So here, the next day, put your stocking up onto the fireplace. Where again, here Sheldon, he's here. Oh, there's your, Nina. So they're putting their, and again, it's just something interactive for students to do, to take a fun, interactive way to take attendance. And again, I didn't have to create any of that. Right? It was already created there for me. All I have to do is go in and change the names. So a couple of ways to kind of search, right? Search the subject level. You can search by grade and find stuff. And of course, if you are under the Canada resources, yes, you will be finding material that will fit our curriculum, of course. So my advice is find stuff that you're ready to use and teach tomorrow, if you have to. Why recreate stuff? Is it still?
Yeah, it tells me license and
Oh, to load it up. Yeah, but does it allow you to at least register?
no.
Not even to register.
It won't allow me even to get into Smart Notebook.
Oh, so yeah. So we won't get into Smart Notebook, but you should be able to still get onto the website.
I thought I had to go through this.
No, you don't have to do it through the.
Okay.
No, that you would do that. If you wanted to download the lesson, you have to do it through Smart
Okay.
Notebook, let's say. But you could at least register for it. So this way, when you're at home, and you've got nothing to do. Let's face it, everyone makes it seem like we've got nothing to do, right? So we've got plenty of time, right?